Hi, I'm Vijay Anand, President and CEO of Aqua Incorporated, the author of New Immigration Secrets. Today we have my associate, a software professional, a family man, and an enterprising leader. Please welcome Bhasker Raghuvanshi. Hi, good afternoon, Bhaskar.
Hey, Bijay, can you hear me? Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes, absolutely. I'm doing awesome. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much for asking.
Wonderful, wonderful, Bhaskar. Thank you for being here today. And Bhaskar, if I can ask you, if you can kindly give me a brief intro, so that the audience can get some about your background. They can get some information and things like that.
Okay, Bijay. Basically, I've been working in IT industry last, I would say, 19 years, and especially in the US, more than 15 years now. 14 is 15, I would say. I can't count right now. And being here in IT, I've been serving a lot of clients. Right now, working for DHS, which is actually Minnesota Department of Human Services, and I'm taking care of their system, which is called MATS, as in senior solution architect out here. My job actually requires me to work with different stakeholders, which I really like, and then it's more about techie. I'm living in Minnesota for the last 9 years, enjoying the weather out here, of course, with ice, and more like I like more about technology and working with the Aqua for the last 11 years. So this is what my brief introduction, I would say.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Thank you for the introduction. And
Mhm.
Bhaskar, just for me to understand, when you came to the United States, what
Mm-hmm.
was your biggest dream, and how did you kind of like work towards it? Any kind of background, if you can share with us, that might be great.
Right. So basically, there was no planning for me. I didn't plan actually to come in US purposefully. Actually, I was working with Accenture out there. I've been in Europe for a couple of times during my early days. So living in Mumbai, very good life. Just married, so I was kind of settle out. But suddenly I got an opportunity to come to the US through my one of my friend, and his that kind of connection came in, and then I just landed in US. So it was in 2006, long back story, but yeah, not planned, but of course landed here. So living here till now.
Wow, wow, wonderful, wonderful, Bhaskar. So throughout this journey, were there any challenges? Obviously, you must have faced a lot of challenges. So what were the top challenges that you had to overcome when you first came here?
See, what I learned actually, I was living and working in Indian style in India, working with big organizations like Accenture and IBM, and having around 6 years experience already in my belt. So that gave me a little different kind of, perspective of this corporate world. But when I landed in US, that was a different perspective. This perspective taught me a little bit painful initially to be alone, to be yourself, to be honest, to be in time, and then to be just kind of be open up when you want to be. People will really understand you. Now, so these are the challenge because I was not prepared for these things initially, and as you know, those times where internet was not so good, so nothing to learn from other people's story, too many. But challenges was to settle out yourself in very diverse, culture, expecting other people being treated you as an equal, and you are also equal to them, and maintain your dignity while working good work. And this is how things should work in US, and this is what I'm doing till now.
Wow, wow, wonderful, wonderful, Bhaskar. Thank you for sharing that. And
Mhm.
how did you ever feel like this is like I feel like stuck, and then there's nowhere to go, and then you kind of like overcame that through some kind of steps or anything like that? Can you share any kind of like experience like that that you
Yeah,
had?
I think see basically this is where the things are like H1 as it is has a lot of limitations, as we all know, right? People may say you can't do business. People may say you can't create your own, things in the US. The wife cannot work. Now they can work on H4 EAD. That's a different thing. But so it's more about job, basically. And then they say we can't work. We don't have opportunity. We are not given any kind of help. and we are just stuck into the kind of a cage. But think about this: if you go back and see your friends, like I see my friends right now, they all are kind of 40s. I don't see that anybody's doing business in India too. So it's just kind of structure, thinking. So my gut feeling is, okay, I go to my classmates. They all are doing their own things. They just talk about career and everything, and they might have tried something here and there, but doing business is as difficult in US as in India also. So if you really want to see, you want to grow in different directions, you can do in US also. Maybe there will be a different ways. But my understanding is, don't go and talk to the people who may be like you. Go and talk to the people who may know better than you, and then you get better idea how to survive and how can you excel in this world also, right? So the only problem which I see people have is wrong notion of what do you call cage kind of feeling, and second, they don't talk to the right people.
Wow, wow,
if they,
that's so awesome,
if they talk to
actually.
right people, they may
Bhaskar.
definitely get some solution.
So
And
in other words, what you're saying is they feel stuck because of all the restrictions and all the things, but they're not focusing on what they can do instead of
exactly,
they're just
exactly,
focusing on what they cannot do than what they can do. I think, yeah.
exactly. And if you see, like Vijay, you were also on H1 in your start time, like so you also worked with the companies where you had a vision, you wanted to have your company, you stride through that, like that line. So you got one obstacle, second obstacle, cover up, then you are still fighting for. You being an Indian, you may have some issues when you go and in different kind of working class, but how are you going to tackle them, how to settle out yourself, your thoughts. That's where you have to learn, and I think US is the best place to do any kind of experiment if you can. Otherwise you can't do anywhere. That's my thought.
Wow, wow, wonderful, wonderful, Bhaskar. That's awesome. Now, what is the one thing that you like about the US? Can I ask you that?
I would say black and white situation in US. There's nothing called gray, there's nothing called politics, there's nothing called giving you kind of false promises. So you do it, you will get it. It's a kind of you work, you get. You don't
It's like
work,
high
you will not.
integrity environment. That's what you're trying to say.
I would say, yeah, it's honesty. It's more about straightforwardness. I would say it's more about a discipline in life and dreaming big if you can. That's also the part of US culture. So I think people should just open up themselves from being living in their home and their small community where they just go and meet. Little bit broaden up, they can see different world altogether.
Wow, wow, Bhaskar. One question that I had was there any mistake that you see that you did, but you were seeing other people doing the same kind of mistake, and what would you say to that? Can you enlighten us on
Uh,
that area?
I think the mistake is basically the don't waste your early years of life. Um, if you are in 20s, you are the best gifted guy in the world, I would say, in terms of energy, in terms of with, relationship, friendships, all things are there for you. Even in 30s also. So basically, those times, what I did actually, I was more into um, going with the wind kind of situations, no planning in place, not thinking about how what I'll be doing after 5 years or 10 years down the line, or maybe how I'm going to retire myself down the line, right? How I can see my kids will see me. So those things looks very, small things when you really talk about, but as age grows, when you touch 40s, it becomes big question then. So I think I really advise people who are younger than me, and I know a lot of people are younger than me, they should use their time a little bit planning for future. It could be financial planning, it could be social status planning, it could be career planning. Do it and then plan it for longer term, not like changing job for now and another client that will not work for a long time.
Got it, Bhaskar. So, Bhaskar, like throughout this process, what type of support system did you have to kind of help you to go through the this kind of like a tough journey that you're describing?
I don't. It's just kind of people like you and me, So it's bits and pieces. Like I didn't get any. I would say spoon feeding from anyone since my life. Of course, when you land in US, and everybody knows you can't get spoon feeding or any kind of advice from India. So forget about all parents, things, and everything. You can't. You have to live by your own. So of course, it's support from people, support from my family, support from my seniors, um, and support from my company. Like Aqua, I'm working for Aqua a long time. A lot of things happens. Like we talked a lot of time, a lot of things clear from my perspective also. So that's how I was kind of sailing out.
Wonderful, wonderful, Bhaskar. Do you read books in general? What type of
Oh,
book?
yes, yes. And this is another thing actually. I would say people should start reading books. And I started very late, to be very honest. Reading was not my habit, and I was more into movies and other things like everybody does. And but when I started reading, because I started reading out of desperations. I had no idea. Technical things I used to read. That's a different story. When you go to different direction, you want to do something else in your life. Then you don't see blogs will not work. Your forums will not work. Your some kind of motivational channels will not work. It's
You're saying
hard
forums
to.
will not work, right? Bhaskar, what type of thing? What do you mean by forums will not work?
Let's say I want to learn about something which is not in my budget. Let's say I want to learn something in marketing or sales or something else like lead generation, something which I really want to see. Quick shortcut should be you just go and type in Google, say that best practice of doing lead management or some kind of marketing or something. Or let's say I want to prepare for interview. Best practices, go to the Google and you will get short answers to your question, but that will not give you a clear picture which you can work for a long time. But you go to a good book which is written by someone, and books are basically good because the guy is writing when he's taking his own free time and telling you exactly what he's thinking in his mind. It's not 1 day or 2 day affair. And second thing is when you read the book, you have a time to think about what this guy is saying. There's no argument. So both perspectives are already in place. So writers are always great, I would say, but readers are also well equipped. They should understand, they should read books. So I definitely read books. I have my own aim. I would say I was reading somewhere
Name
else.
a couple of books, a few books that anybody knew you would suggest that they go through that book to gain the knowledge.
Oh yeah, of course. If I can suggest, I will not be suggesting based on some technology experience because everybody has their own area to work in. I would say one of the good book is Slight Age. This tells you about how disciplined you could be and don't be uh, desperate so easily in life. Nothing comes easy. The same thing is nothing comes easy, but it's not motivational. It's just practice book. And then there's another good book which everybody can recommend you. It's Seven Habits of Successful People. It titles is little bit misnomer because it says like some corporate kind of book, but it talks about your personal life, like how you should be best dad, how you should be best kid, how you should be best friend, and those habits will make you total perspective in your life. That book is very nice.
The Stephen Covey's principle-centered approach to life.
Oh yes, yes, and this is again a very it's not like talking about in terms of not doing just telling you theory. It just tell you exactly how to do. If you chart down your whole day planner, you are seeing yourself. Okay, I'll start morning. I go to gym. I go to office. I talk to my friends. Then I go home. I will play with my kids. I talk to my wife. Sleep. But this whole things can be charted down in terms of how to become very good dad. So how much time you're giving your kids, that matters. So even this book talks to you like how you can plan so that you can cover all the facet of your life and to make yourself you're covering each and every aspect. So it's nice. People should read.
Wonderful, wonderful, Bhaskar. And yeah, thank you very much, Bhaskar, for being here today. And if the audience, anybody from there wants to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you?
They can touch me on my email, which is bhaskar.raghuvanshi@gmail.com, and they can call me if they want. My number is 214-213-8120. I'm always open, and please
Wow.
be with me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bhaskar. And you have a great evening. Thank you very much for being here. We're honored to have you there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Vijay. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Bye.